Hey guys, the Explorer of Horror here. Welcome back to some more reviews, and welcome to my review on one of my favorite shot-on-video horror films, one of my favorite trauma films, and so far one of my favorite Blu-ray horror releases, and that is Redneck Zombies. Yeah, fucking love this movie, and it's just so cool this exists, man. I know I've already said it like 1,000 times, but it's so neat that they were able to finally give us Redneck Zombies on Blu-ray. It may have had a Blu-ray from Trauma before. I can't remember. I never found it on Blu-ray before, so the fact that they were able to get this released is amazing. And yeah, Redneck Zombies. You guys know me in shot-on-video horror films. It's a genre that I have a special place in my heart for because I find them to be very inspiring and very hilarious at times, and just films that you can tell people put a lot of passion into. And so, honestly, shot-on-video B movies, I think, are some of my more favorite horror films because it shows that these guys who were big fans of George Romero and Dawn of the Dead and stuff, and they wanted to go out and make their own movie. Watching the documentaries was pretty cool because it was very interesting to hear them talk about how they made the movie, what they went through, and the inspirations they had. And so it's cool to see fans go out there with a little bit of money and make the best movie they can. And Redneck Zombies is one of my favorite shot-on-video horror movies. Debatably my favorite. I think it might be my favorite. Me and this movie go pretty far back. I remember when I was a very, very young kid. Probably shouldn't have watched this when I was that young, but luckily, and I say luckily because usually censorship is bad, but I was pretty young when I seen this for the first time. So yeah, like I was saying, when I was a kid, I remember there was a clamshell VHS tape for this movie that somebody ended up having, and I watched it on VHS tape, and it was the censored version. And I was pretty young back then, so I'm glad that I didn't see all this crazy amounts of gore. I don't know if I was ready for that, because this movie is extremely gory. Pretty well done makeup effects, too, in this movie. Very well done makeup effects. But I remember as a kid thinking it was a wild, wacky movie, man. I thought it was just so out there, but I thought something about it just kept me watching it. I always watched it. Again, I think I was way too young to watch it, but it was just a wacky, weird movie that I thought was so out there. And even to this day, it's such a bizarre movie, but I love it. I love this movie to death. It's so charming. It's so well done for what it is. It's so wacky, weird, slapsticky, entertaining for the most part. I mean, that's the big thing with this movie, is it's highly entertaining. And it's a very well-made, low-budget zombie movie. And the plot of this movie is pretty silly. But it's trauma. It's, gonna be having fun. It's basically about this barrel of toxic waste that gets lost out into the countryside, and these rednecks get it and mix it with their moonshine. And there's this moonshine that is green, and if people drink it, it's toxic waste moonshine, so they become zombies. And there's a group nearby of survivors, city slickers, who end up camping nearby this campsite. Excuse me for coughing. But they are camping out there, and they end up dealing with these zombies. People begin to get killed off in gory ways, and they got to figure out how they're going to survive this. And this movie is very hilarious. It's great. It's wonderful. I mean, you got a scene where the guy at the beginning is talking to the camera for a while. And you're like, okay, is he talking to a soldier? And there's this dog with sunglasses on that burps. And you find out he's talking to the dog, and he wants to give it the joint to smoke, and he drops the joint in his hand, and that's how the freaking barrel gets out of the truck. There's a scene, a lot of parody of rednecks, that redneck stereotype, although this did it way better than Moonshine Mountain. I hate to keep bringing that up, but that movie, Moonshine Mountain, the whole making fun of redneck hillbillies, that movie sucked at it. That movie was terrible. It was so bad and shitty, and it's like traumatizing how bad that movie was. But this does it at least in a halfway funny, entertaining way. And people getting infected all around the town. There's some fun gore effects in there. Really awesome finale where our lead chick ends up surviving the movie and goes into this house and he becomes Evil Dead, where there's just blood and gore everywhere. It's a house that kind of reminds me of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Evil Dead, where it's just this really creepy looking house. And she's like blowing zombies' heads off, stabbing them in the head with a fork. Just going through hell at the end of this movie. You get people getting pulled apart in gory fashion, eyeballs being gouged out, a cool finale of this horde of zombies going after the city kids. And there's a weird part to this movie, though. Kind of the one part where I was like, I don't know if you needed that in there. It was a bit weird and unnecessary. Where a zombie rapes our lead chick. I don't think I've ever seen that in a movie where a zombie rapes a chick. And it was very bizarre and weird, and I don't even know if you needed it in there. But pretty much this character right here ends up saving her. This guy with the bag on his head. But then you get the idea that he might rape her. So it goes that route, and I'm like, whoa, that was, okay, what the fuck? That was a weird way to end the movie. And you find out at the end of the movie that she's pregnant with a zombie baby, and that's going to continue the apocalypse. Weird ending. But besides that, you got a fun Chainsaw Massacre parody where it's them picking up, instead of a hitchhiker, it's a barber. And they're like talking about, oh, I used the electric shaver. He's like, no, straight razors are the best way. I fucking love that scene. That's so funny and amazing. That guy, just kudos to him. Beautiful job at parodying the hitchhiker. I really like that scene. The scene where they're making the stew, or they're making, not the stew, but they're making the moonshine. And just all that. It's a lot of that just over-the-top redneck hillbilly stuff. And there is some stuff in there, again, trauma, that it could be seen as a little bit, like, offensive if you would look at it that way. There's a character called Ellie Mae, who's this character who's, like, I don't know, acting more feminine, and they're talking about, trying to get into the whole, he's kind of the more gay hillbilly, and they get into that and try to sort of make fun of that. That could be a little bit problematic. It depends on how you look at it. It's all fun, though. This movie is just trying to have fun. Yeah, it's a lot of corny, wacky, out there humor. Trauma picking this up and distributing it. It's cool they did that, because they didn't have to do that. This is a very low budget shot on video movie, and they went out and said, hey, we'll re-release it, and we'll get it out there. So that's cool. But second of all, it fits them like a glove. The humor sometimes can be offensive. The language they use is like, what the fuck? But that's just sort of, trauma pushes that limit. They push the lines. They push the limit, and they cross lines. There we go. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you enjoy Evil Dead and Dawn of the Dead, you'll love this movie. It's got a Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe to it. There's just this random hillbilly guy in a mask who's given tobacco. It's a tobacco man. Instead of the ice cream man, it's the tobacco man. And he's got a face rotten away with cancer. And he warns the people that he gives the tobacco to that they are going to have their face rot off. And it's like, what the fuck? Such an out there character. I thought the makeup was done pretty well. Apparently they just used food. Like, that's the main component of what they used on the makeup and everything was food. I thought it looked pretty good. The gore effects are done pretty well. It doesn't look that fake. It looks pretty good, and the gore is nailed. Direction is pretty solid. I mean, if you're going to this movie expecting good writing, direction, and all that, like Oscar-winning performances, and you're coming into the wrong movie. It's just shot on video wonderfulness. It's just awesome. I love it. It's, looks good on Blu-ray. They did a good job at cleaning it up as best as it can look. It's a lot of fun. It's very entertaining. It's a very short movie. It's it's a lot of fun. That's all I gotta say about it. It's just a very fun, entertaining, well-made film that I highly enjoyed. And I highly recommend, if you guys like trauma, shot on video, fun zombie movies, zombie comedies, some good gore in there, I highly recommend Redneck Zombies. And especially if you're a fan of Redneck Zombies, this is good. But if also you're a casual, don't really know about Redneck Zombies, I still recommend this Blu-ray. It gives you 2 versions of the movie. I haven't seen the other version. I want to say it's a new cut. Like they went back and re-edited the film for the anniversary. So I'll check it out. I haven't seen that. I just rewatched the original cut. But yeah, it's an out there movie. It's out there. It's weird. It's goofy. It's slapsticky. It's just a weird movie. But it's a fun time, gory, just over the top, really entertaining ride. And that's about all it needed to be. It was really entertaining. But anyways, y'all, I'm gonna give it like a 4 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5. It's pretty well made. I really enjoyed it. If you guys have seen it, comment down below your guys' thoughts on it. If you haven't seen it, go check out some Redneck Zombies. It's a lot of fun. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, and the Explorer of Horror is out. Peace.